Hi, this is Stacia, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Stacia Gets Crushed in E4 Openings. Yeah. So I'm going to share with you a tournament game that I played just today, actually, at a tournament called the Mustard Seed Meltdown. And there was over 100 players actually in this tournament in Solon, Ohio, on April 20th of 2019. And I had a really rough tournament. I played 3 kids, and I also lost 3 games, so maybe not a coincidence. But so I played, actually, this is the game where I actually played an adult. His name is Ray Sean, and I'll put the ratings on the screen, but I think he was about 1560 or so, and I was rated 1664. And I opened with E4, as per my New Year's resolution. C5 was played, the Sicilian. I have to admit, I get pretty excited when I see this move these days because I do like the Smith-Morra Gambit by playing D4. He took the pawn, and I played C3. And here, normally black will take like such, and I take back with the knight. And even though I'm down a pawn, white gets a lot of play. Like in terms of gambits, I have to say this is probably one of the easiest ones to play. But I've also looked at it the most, so maybe I just know more about it. But okay, in the game, my smile quickly went away when my opponent played D6. And I don't think this is a good move or anything, but it means that he's not accepting my pawn. I gave him a gift, and he did not take it, so that was sad. But this does mean, however, that I can take in the center and have a nice pawn duo right in the center. So I've got the D4, E4 dream center right now. So I thought white has to be better here. And the computer does say that white has a bit of an edge, like plus 0.4. Now my opponent played knight f6. Just developing. I went knight c3. That's very natural. And now g6 was played. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so g6. So the thing that bothered me at this point of the game is that I'm just not familiar with this at all. And I was afraid that my opponent might be familiar with this. And it looks like he's going for some sort of Sicilian dragon, so this is going to create the head of the dragon. Oops. And I guess D6 is sort of the tail, or so they say. So I was kind of curious, like if this is going to be a tough game or what. But and I didn't want to play knight f3. I was kind of worried that he would. Oops, sorry about that. Let's see. I didn't want to play knight f3. I was worried about this pin. Although I don't think I should even be scared of that in hindsight. Like if I do go knight f3 and he pins me, a lot of times I think this isn't a good move with this Fanchetto structure over here. Because once I kick him, he either has to give me the 2 bishops or just retreat. The computer does want to take, but even though this pawn is now undefended, there doesn't appear to be any way to easily attack it. I mean, he has to go bishop g7 first. And yeah, the computer's already saying after e5, white's winning. So that's kind of funny. D takes e5. G takes e5. This does look scary, huh? So is there going to be a bishop c4? Knight f to d7 and... Oh, computer just wants to grab that. Okay, very well. I always like to look at where I go astray in the opening, and I think this is where I think knight f3 is fine, and I should have played that. Instead, I went for this move, bishop b5 check. And I thought this is interesting because I want to play knight f3, and if he plays bishop d7, then he's not going to be playing bishop g4. So that was kind of my idea, and I thought if he develops the knight, then I have d5. And guess what? He did develop the knight. So I would definitely give this move a question mark because of d5, but not for the reason I thought. So this is where the game takes a turn and gets really sharp and really interesting. So make no mistake that after d5, white is better. The computer says plus 1.1. And I actually thought that was true, but for the wrong reason. So, yeah, my opponent played a6. This is the only move in this position. I mean, he's going to lose the knight, so he has to counterattack the bishop. And here is where I go astray. So there's one correct move for white here. And, wow, and there's also an interesting move that I didn't even consider. So let's have a look. I'll show you the move that I played. I played the move queen a4. I was considering taking the knight with a pawn, and I was also considered taking with the bishop. Turns out taking with the bishop is second best. I think this is forced, and now I can take here. Now I saw that this would happen, but I was worried that my pawn might be weak because I don't have an easy way to defend it. I'd have to go like this. And that seems really slow, especially for the opening. So I thought maybe I would lose this pawn. I was thinking about something like queen c2. But I wasn't sure. Computer says white has a slight edge here. So this is probably just a normal position at this point. So I considered that move. I also considered taking this way, but I don't think this does much. Yeah, this is actually good for black because it does open up the rook. And now if I take here, I develop the bishop, so that's no good. Another thing you can do, though, is play the move I did. You can play queen a4. Now, what's interesting here is that he can't take the bishop because we'll take the rook. But the funny thing is he can take the bishop, and this is what happened in the game. He took the bishop, and I said, huh. I'm like, he must be okay with me taking this rook. So I took it. And now he played knight d4. And I have to admit, I was a little befuddled here. Is that a word? Befuddled? I'm befuddled right now. Because I missed this move. I didn't even consider this in my calculation. I saw queen takes rook and I stopped. So I thought, oh, the knight moves somewhere. I should have definitely saw that the knight is going to move with a big threat. And I failed to do that. So when I took the rook, the knight came here. And now I have a problem. How do I defend c2? It's not so easy. Okay, and I end up playing king f1, but now my position is very hard to play now, even though I'm up in exchange. But let's go back and see what the best move was. Why was that correct? To play, let's see, d5, a6. Yeah, there's one more move to consider here, and that's bishop a4. Now, I considered this move as well, but I thought after b5, and bishop b3, and maybe, let's see, possibly knight a5, or I was thinking maybe knight e5. I didn't feel like this was good for me, and turns out that after f4, it's just an equal game. Like the knight's going to come back here. I do have space, and yeah, I could play this position, I think. But I thought I had something better, which I thought was queen a4. But it turned out that the reason bishop a4 is so strong is that after b5, I should take the knight. And now pretty much black has to take here. And this is a pawn structure that is very desirable, I think. I love seeing these double isolated pawns on the side of the board. And I've got this pawn, which could be annoying. It's not really clear if it will be yet. And I think I'll have easier development in this line. The nice thing about the knight being gone, in my opinion, is that now there is no knight b4 or knight d4. And so maybe that's one of the biggest differences. And in fact, I can even take here. Yeah, I can even take this. So we get that pawn right away. And already we're defending this pawn. And now it makes it annoying to develop the bishop. It's not as easy anymore with these squares gone. So I really like this position, and this is a strong advantage, well, a good advantage for white. We'll call it plus 1.2. So sorry to spend so much time on that, but that was the critical point of the game, one of the critical points of the game. So I went from having an advantage to not having an advantage after queen a4, because he took here exclam. And now this rook is sort of poisoned a little bit. He goes knight d4, and now I have to compromise my position. Computer is giving rook b1, which I considered. But I thought he could still check me. I guess this is okay for white, but yeah, I don't know. King d2. Yeah, it wants king d2 here. Yeah, I mean, I could play this way, I guess. Wow, it's actually saying knight takes e4 check as a move, sacking the knight. And notice the escape square is taken by the rook. Yeah, I have a feeling that this line is going to get really, really crazy. I didn't play rook b1 pretty much for this reason. I wasn't sure where my king would go. Instead, I played king f1, and I'm really hoping that I can get this in and survive. Up in exchange. That was what I was thinking. But let's have a look at the game. This is very difficult to play. My opponent developed, and notice that he can just develop and castle and then start attacking me, and it's not clear how I'm going to get out of the way and get my pieces out. Not to mention my queen's offsides too. So, in fact, this guy needs to get developed. This guy needs to get out of the corner. This guy needs to develop. This guy needs to get out of the corner. So my only well-placed piece is this knight on c3. And black has 1, 2, 3 pieces that are well-placed. And the bishop already has tons of scope. So I have to admit, even though black is down in exchange, I definitely see the compensation here. It looks... I think I prefer black, actually, because even though black's down material, there's so much activity here that it sure seems like black should be able to win something back. Or maybe even get a winning position. All right, so after bishop g7, sorry about all this, it was difficult to know what to play, but I played knight g to e2. I just wanted this knight out, and okay, I'm willing to trade. But I realized after he did take this, that if I do take with my knight, my e-pawn falls. And this knight comes into the game and it opens up the bishop as well. And notice there's pressure here. So I was worried about this, and I actually made the game-losing blunder. King e2. So king takes, and do you see the winning move for black? It's a pretty simple tactic, really, that I completely missed. And that's bishop g4 check. And in my mind, for whatever reason, I thought I could just play f3 and be fine. Well, I realized right after he played it that, whoops, I dropped my queen. And this was a very sad moment for sure. And I knew I was lost at this point. But I was also sort of befuddled because I was like, wow, was queen takes a8 a blunder? And if it was, then was queen a4 just the wrong way to play that? And it turns out that it was, that bishop a4 was correct. So I will show the rest of the game, and then we'll look at the highlights once more. So I took the bishop. I mean, at least I get a bishop. But now I'm basically down a queen for a rook, which is not going to be... And my position's terrible on top of it. And now he pushed here, which is really annoying. A great move by him. I can't go to a4. I can't go here, my own pawns. I can't go here due to the king. And if I come here, I'm pretty sure that queen a6 wins. Or should I say wins even more? Wins the knight, because I have no way to defend the knight. So I think... I thought the computer would say knight d1. It is saying that. But I played g5 in the game. And after g5, he can take. And I take. And he took here, which is actually a really annoying move. Because after that, now the bishop's defending the pawn. If I take the bishop, or if I take the pawn, he takes back and hits the rook in the corner. And if I go rook b1, it undefends the a pawn. He takes with the queen. Do you see how things are unraveling real quick? Because that's lined up with my king. So I saw this too late and was really embarrassed, but I decided I would play on a little. I played bishop h6. I don't know what I'm going for exactly. I just knew that I wanted my rooks connected. Although in hindsight, I think I'd play bishop f4 and see if I can get this pawn push in later at least. But okay, I still have problems because he takes. That's hitting the rook. I go here, so he can take here now. And what can I really do? I don't think I have any moves at all. I really wanted to play something like here to here, but the pawn is nicely guarding the c1 square. My own pawns are blocking the other files. So even though I played here, which I don't think does anything, he played king d7, and I just have no plan and no play at all. I mean, so next the rook is coming in, you know, so... And when that happens and the rook comes to c1, if I try to take, the pawn takes with check. I don't know. I don't see any hope. So I did resign in this position. So a painful 19-move game. But let's again just look at the critical moments. I really feel like there's just two. So it turns out that this position is totally fine. Next time, I'll go ahead and play knight f3, not worry about bishop g4. I think that was silly to worry about it. Instead, I played this check, which I think could be met by bishop d7. But I only got lucky that my opponent played knight c6 and gave me this d5 move. Now, I knew d5 was strong, but for the wrong reason. And that reason is that after a6, the only move, bishop a4 provides a nice advantage after b5 here and here. And this position is excellent. I can play queen takes a4, and I will go down this line just a little farther just to see kind of what happens. I think black would develop here and now. Yeah, I'd want to develop the knight, I think. Black should probably castle, and I could probably just castle, I bet. Yeah. And this is an excellent position. I would love to play this as white. I just feel like this pawn's an asset. This pass pawn. And white's also more active, has more space. And, okay. So, next time I have this set up, I'm definitely going to remember bishop a4 because I feel like that would have gave me a really nice game. Instead, I played queen a4, which it really looks like this pawn is pinned. And I gave it no more thought than that during the game, which I suppose is wrong because this rook is actually kind of poison. Now, the computer says the game that black's only slightly better after this move. But I will not be forgetting this little move. Knight b4 is even stronger, by the way. But I will not be forgetting this maneuver because after knight d4, it really did feel like I was in trouble. King f1 was fine. But this is just very difficult to play. Knight g to e2 is okay because I can take with a knight and give up that e pawn and survive. But a better move was bishop e3. I think I like this a little bit better. Now, the cool thing about this is I probably could go knight here next. And if takes, I can't take with the king yet. But I could take with the knight, lose that, and maybe play f3. And I do like that. I can bring my king to d2 and the bishop sort of blocking things. Then again, I don't know. This position just looks not fun to me. Yeah, so I do feel like there are some positions that the computer says are playable, but really it's much easier to be black here. And I would rather have the black pieces, to be honest. I'm not a good enough defender yet to handle something like this and not and not mess up and find those perfect moves that the computer can find. So all right, knight takes e2. Computer says position's equal, but here I make the losing move, which is king takes because of this nice little check. f3 and pretty much game over after this move. So I hope that you learned something from this as I did. Learn from my mistakes. Don't make them yourself if you can. And yeah, please like, subscribe, and comment, and have a great day. Oh, by the way, I am planning on showing all the games from this tournament. When I have a bad tournament, I kind of like to go in super analysis mode. And in addition, there is one game where I do sack a pawn and a knight, and it's a positional sacrifice, and I checkmate my opponent after making several difficult threats to meet. So pretty excited to show that game, actually. And in addition, I thought I would share that since there are two critical moments in this game, this is what I do when I'm trying to improve. All right, so I'm going to take this down for a second and go to my folder. So I actually have like a bunch of flashcards, as I've mentioned before, And this is my latest folder. I call it Meltdown, not because I had a meltdown, which I kind of did, but because the tournament was called the Mustard Seed Meltdown. But as you can see, I went ahead and like put these positions into these flashcards. So like here it says in this game, he had a clear best move. What is it? Or white has a clear best move. So it's bishop a4 like we discussed. Then I make an answer key flashcard. So you can see here is the answer. Bishop a4. In the game I played this. And then when I go through my flashcards quickly, I'm reminded of all these really good ideas that I've learned. Here's the other one. So in this critical moment, I make the losing move. So, and then again, the solution. So, just thought I'd show that really quickly. But yeah, thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.